DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts.
I've uncovered a conspiracy! Photographic evidence proves that there is a fourth triplet, a quadruplet, if you will. We must find Fooey Duck. By the way, I named him Fooey.
It's the week of Tuesday, September 3rd, and you're listening to episode 78 of DuckTalks. Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of DuckTalks. We are a DuckTales fan podcast who enjoys covering all the news around the new DuckTales show, including news about video games. We've got a little bit of that tonight. News about comics. We just had some comics come out, so we may fit that in. And then also about brand new episodes. What? Brand new episodes of DuckTales. That's right. We actually have a brand new episode of DuckTales. And we're going to talk about that tonight as we kick off a, 9-episode bonanza. That's not even the right word. I don't know what I'm saying. Let's just get started. My name's Mitch. I'm one of your hosts. I'm excited to be here with you tonight, and I've got our good friend Jason Iscari with us.
Hey, all right, guys, what's going on?
Man, we've had such a long time. You were actually you were on the podcast before our last podcast with new episodes, but that was months ago.
Actually, I was not. I was going to be, but then I had to leave. If you remember.
Dude, that's true. You were on the phone with us the whole time and then had to go, didn't you?
Yes, I was on the phone with you guys, and then my wife was like, child needs to go to sleep, and I was like, all right, gotta go, guys, sorry.
Yeah, well, that parenting thing happens a lot, I tell you. We had that tonight. We were supposed to get together a little earlier, and I ended up running behind because of some parenting, but it's all cool. That's that's part of it.
That's right. Yes, actually, tomorrow my son will be 1 year old, or 1 year old, because there's not a plural in years with one. But yeah, it's a surprise that with a father like me, he is able to survive a whole year. So we should totally congratulate him. Well,
congratulations to you on making a full year.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that first year, I tell you, there's a lot of sleep deprivation. You eat very strange things. You don't even care what they are anymore. And you really get used to the smell of cottage cheese.
Yes.
Things ruining all the time.
A lot of smells. Yeah. There's things that I used to never touch before, and now it's like normal for me. Like, okay, yeah, I'll touch that. All right.
Yeah. Well, we've lost the younger audience.
That's right. We got all the people here.
We have all the people. That's one of the great things about this podcast. That's what I really enjoy is we'll get emails from people who, are like us, in their 30s who grew up watching the old shows the classic shows.
That's right.
And then we have, younger people who are like, I've never watched an episode of Darkwing Duck, but now I'm going to. And we're like, well, we got a list of episodes we'd recommend.
Exactly. Thank God there's going to be a service coming down in November that they can actually watch it without, actually watch the whole thing in their convenience. Because for some reason, Darkwing Duck's the only Disney afternoon cartoon that's still not on digital. I don't understand that.
Right. Well, and it's not on Disney Plus for the opening either, or at least for the first month.
Oh, it's not? I thought it was.
No,
it's
sad. Yeah. So there's going to be DuckTales, the whole series, and Goof Troop, the whole series, on the initial rollout, November 12th, and then we also get a Goofy movie, an extremely Goofy movie. As I hit my microphone.
All of those I can go and buy on Amazon right now for like $10 a season. Come on, Disney Plus, give me what I can't get. Well, I still want Spider-Man 1981 again.
We're really hoping these are maybe up to HD standards, though, instead of being the highest quality we had was like DVD. That's like what, 480?
Right, 480. I'm pretty sure it's going to still be 480 because because these things were done in videotape.
Right.
So you're not going to get much higher than that.
Yeah. Well, maybe they can bump it up a little bit.
Maybe.
I do anticipate Darkwing won't be far behind. I mean, we've heard from a number of people that Disney recognizes the popularity of the character. I think DuckTales and Goof Troop's probably a pretty good rollout. Like you said, though, those are already available. I was shopping today. I just realized they gave me a Walmart card at work not long ago for something, and I checked on it, and it still had $10 on it. And I was like, ooh, I still need Rescue Rangers Volume, is it 2 or 3? I'd have to look.
1 and 2. They only made 2 volumes of Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, so I need Volume 2, and then Tailspin I need 3. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ooh, I need to check those and see if I can get those from Walmart right now. Because that's like my go-to on those DVDs. I can get them, have them shipped to the store, and go pick them up.
Yes, I love that. That's actually how I got like my son's birthday present, actually. Was from Walmart getting shipped over there for me.
Well, they did not have Volume 2 of Rescue Rangers. You'd have to buy that new combined pack that has 1 and 2.
Uh-huh.
But it was $11.99.
Yeah, that's so I remember so I didn't buy Rescue Rangers right away, but I did buy it when I believe it was either Walmart or Costco. One of those places was selling each DVD set for like $10 each. So I paid $20 for both volumes, and of course, like they're still missing episodes.
Right.
But the fact that you can get like the complete pack for cheaper than what I paid for, I don't know, probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I got mine for $9 or $10 when I got it, and I mean all of mine. I think that's what I paid from Walmart. The combined pack, I can buy that. It's just a couple of dollars more, and then I have a DVD of Chip and Dale that I can hand off to somebody.
That's right. You can start just like people down the street. Hey, have you seen Chip and Dale? Here you go. Here's some Chip and Dale.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Jason, you and I both had a great weekend on Labor Day weekend, and that's why I hollered at you, and I was like, hey, man, you want to join me for the podcast? We both got to go to Dragon Con this weekend. I was there one day. I can't remember. Were you there 2 days?
I was there for 2 days. So just so your listeners know, what happens is that I give Mitch my schedule, and then he makes sure he goes on the days that I'm not scheduled to be there.
Man, I was honestly disappointed when you sent me that message. I had no idea you weren't going to be there Friday. and for me, my thought process is, because I'm not meeting up with a ton of people. I want to try to cover some stuff because Dragon Con was gracious enough to send us media pass, and there was a few people I wanted to some celebrities and some artists and writers that I wanted to catch. And I was like, I've been there on a Saturday and I couldn't move. I'm getting in and out on a Friday. I mean, I enjoy hanging out with people too, but man, when you only got one day, it's hard to fit it in anyway. Let alone having to wait in line all day.
It really is. Actually, I will say, like, if you had to choose like one day for Dragon Con, Friday's probably the best day to Friday or Sunday. One of those 2 days are the two of the best days to do it. Friday's probably a little better, only because there's a lot of people who still work on Fridays, so you still have like the crowds and everything, but it's a little lighter than what it should be. So this year, originally, because my wife and my son, they were out in another country for like 45 days, and we knew Dragon Con was coming up, and so originally we were like, you know what, we're probably just gonna do Sunday, go do our panel, and then that's it. And then I got my schedule, and they're like, oh, we're gonna put like we're changing your panel from Sunday morning to Saturday night. And I mean, it was like, whoa, it's Saturday. That's like a prime day. We could not give that up. So,
right.
My wife, who does not like to be in pictures, so all you guys on social media, you'll never see this picture. But right before the panel, my wife and son were totally asleep because of jet lag, and they're just letting them to sleep in the middle of the con floor, and it's one of my favorite pictures of all time that you guys will never see.
Well, our first trip, Lexi and I went to the Star Wars Rebels panel. This was this was 3 years ago. Went to the Star Wars Rebels panel, and when we came out, my wife and youngest daughter were asleep in the hall. Or at least my youngest daughter was. My wife had her eyes closed, but she says she was awake.
She says she was like, hey, there's a lot of times my wife said she was awake too, but, I know when she's not awake.
So I've got a email, I think it was today, it might have been yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, that they did surpass the record and that Dragon Con soared past 85,000 people this past weekend.
I am not surprised. Yeah. So for you guys who've never been to Dragon Con, unlike other conventions like San Diego and New York and other like really big conventions, those conventions have a cap. The reason why those conventions have a cap is because their building has a certain amount of people in they can do. San Diego's in the San Diego Convention Center. I forget where New York is because I've never been to New York one. Dragon Con has, I think, a total of 5 hotels now. Maybe it's 6. But like when I first went there was 2. So they don't have a cap. Like, no matter what, they'll still accept people in because they can, because of the openness of it. They know that there's no way that they can actually fill up a capacity of all these hotels.
Well, there's thousands of people in the streets.
Yes.
Walking between the hotels and the other venues. Yes,
and also Labor Day weekend in Atlanta, we have the Chick-fil-A kickoff where Saturday you always have those people who are before they go tailgate, they'll go try to sneak into the convention, and that's when they really crack down at the hotels, make sure you have the badges.
Oh, Saturday they are strict.
Yeah. Saturday they're very strict. Sunday not so much. I forgot my badge on Sunday. No. Yeah, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get in. They still let me in because
that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So last year was my first year with a media pass, and I got there extremely late. I made all kinds of bad calls and ended up parking at 1:00.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, or it might have been around noon, but
yeah,
I didn't get down to I ride the MARTA. I ride the train in from northern Atlanta, and so I didn't get down to Peachtree Station, which is the center of everything. I didn't get down there. Well, I guess it's not, but anyway, I didn't get down there until after 1:30, and I was supposed to go to the Hyatt to check in, and I get to the Hyatt, and nobody's letting me in. I'm like, oh, man. I've got to check in here, and they was like, no, you check in at the Sheraton. I was like, I understand that. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And no, I got an email and everything. Come on.
Oh yeah, and I showed them. I was like, look, I got an email. Yeah. They weren't having any of it, so I had to walk all the way down to Sheraton. Which, if you've ever been down in Atlanta, that's quite a hill.
Yes, it is.
So it's not that bad going down. It's the coming back up. But so I went down to the Sheraton, and I was like, hey, listen, I've got a media badge waiting for me at the Hyatt. And they were like, you need to go to the Hyatt. It's like, I understand. But here's the thing, and I talked about this last year, so people who were around last year have already heard this story. They were amazing. The media relations people were absolutely amazing. As soon as they got on the radio with them, they sent someone to get me, and they walked me up. We went through the back of the Hyatt, and they made sure that I was, everything was okay. They were absolutely amazing. So it wasn't a bad experience because the guy at the Hyatt was just doing his job. That's what he was supposed to do. I got there late. So this year, though, the media relations actually sent out an email with, if this were to happen to you, here's what you do. It was like, I did that. That was me.
Nice.
So yeah, they had a plan for it this year, and but yeah, I walked right in. Nobody stopped me. Of course, I was there early. I was there in the morning. Good. So yeah, great time, man. Just fabulous. If you were talking, if you've never been, it is something to behold. I mean, it was my second comic book, and it's not really a comic book convention; it's a pop convention.
Yeah.
But it was my second convention that I had ever been to. And my first one had been Fanboy in fall in Knoxville. So like it was extremely small. And
Right.
so the first time I went, I was just like, I can't even believe this exists. And I knew about Dragon Con because I had been part of an online community for a video game called Freedom Reborn. No, Freedom Reborn was our website that we were all involved on, a message board, back when those still existed.
I remember this.
But Freedom Force was the game, and I knew a lot of people used to meet for Dragon Con for that, and I never made the trip. Wish I had now. I've tried to connect with some of those people and see if they still go, and haven't found anybody who still does. But man, it's amazing. It's just massive. There's so many people and just fans of all kinds of pop culture and entertainment. Like I said, this was my third year going to Dragon Con. How many years? Do you know how many years you've gone?
I stopped counting after I went to college. I can tell you 2 years that I didn't go. I didn't go in the year of 2014 because that was my honeymoon.
Okay.
And I didn't go last year because my son was due that weekend.
Wow.
And then but like I said, the first year I went to it, it was 2 hotels. You guys can quote me or not, but I believe it was the Hyatt and the Marriott. 100% I know about the Marriott, but
because of the carpet.
Was it?
Because of the carpet.
Yeah. The carpet was there. I was like part of the mourners when they removed the carpet. I'm like, what? What are you doing with the carpet?
Yeah. So for everyone who is completely confused, pull up your web browser and search Atlanta Marriott carpet. That's a tongue twister for some reason.
Yeah.
And you'll see all these cosplay and pictures of this carpet that people still to this day wear at Dragon Con.
Yes. I saw. I mean, there's always like the car that's decorated as a carpet. I see that every year, every for the remembrance. But today, like this year, I saw like a pope dressed in the carpet. I've seen other things.
The stormtrooper.
Yeah, so I did not see a stormtrooper. I did not see that. Now, Mitch, did you see Joe the FedEx guy at the Marriott?
I did not. I saw it on social media even while I was there. You know what? I don't know what was in the Marriott this year.
Hall of Fame's in the Marriott.
I'm sorry.
The huge panel room, main events is in there.
I've got a story about this. I forgot this while I was at Dragon Con. I couldn't think of where the Walk of Fame was, or the Hall of Fame. Is it Walk of Fame? It's Walk of Fame.
Yeah, Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
Walk of Fame or Hall of Fame? Walk of Fame.
I think it's a Walk of Fame. Yeah. So I was trying to. I was on my way to the vendor hall, which is in America's Mart, not a hotel. This is an additional building that Dragon Con takes up.
Building, yeah.
And this building is 3 buildings. And so I was there trying to get over to the comic vendors, and they had changed the route. You could no longer use the sky bridges, so I had to go back down to the ground level and walk over, and I was getting really close when I heard a lady on a bullhorn letting everyone know to keep walking. You had to go down and around the building to get in line to get in. And I was like, I got other stuff to do. I ain't got time for that yet. And so I stopped and was like, okay, I want to go to the Walk of Fame. I got to meet Zachary Levi, and a huge Chuck fan. And so I pull out my phone with the Dragon Con app, and I'm looking, and I'm like, where's the Walk of Fame? Well, I don't know. And I honestly spent way too much time on it. And I thought about messaging you, but I knew you'd just been reunited with your family. And I was like, no,
right.
I'm not going to bother him if I can keep from it. And we had one of our followers, and I'm sure he's listening to this episode, John, who's emailed us a few times and talks with us a lot on Twitter, huge Star Wars fan. And John, I'd already talked to John earlier that morning. He had asked if we were there yet. And so I sent him a message over on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I'm having a brain fart. Where is the Walk of Fame? And he was like, it's in the Marriott. and I'm sure he did not have that inflection when he wrote it.
Right.
But that's how I read it, because I was saying it that way to myself.
Right.
Like, I know this. I know it's in the Marriott. So then I was able to get over there. So yeah, I went to the Marriott. I went through. So that's the one with the big covered pull-in with the big marble fountain.
Yes.
Like a big round fountain. And it's where most of the it's like ground zero for cosplay.
Yes.
And
Saturday night, that's like where all the good cosplayers are, and that's like where that's like the fire marshal will come in and be like, if you don't have a hotel room key, because they'll kick out convention goers because it gets too full.
Yeah. And it was that way last year and the year before that when we were there. You could not move walking through that hotel. So I went in that entrance, and it may be the only one accessible at that time, but I went in that entrance and went straight down the escalators down to the Walk of Fame. So that was like all the time I spent in the Marriott this year.
I'm trying to think. I think at the Marriott, I think I only did the Walk of Fame. I can't remember if I did anything else. I know I didn't go see any panels at the main events. Yeah. Ever since lines started happening in Dragon Con, I stopped doing panels. I host a panel, and there was a freaking line for my panel.
Yeah. I think it was the Doctor Who line that was folded in on itself a couple of times. I mean, I was just like, there's no way I'm getting near that. Or maybe it was the David Tennant. I think it might have been just the David Tennant one, because I heard a lot of stories about people trying to get into that one. But yeah, I was like, I don't have enough time to do that. Right.
But of course, like, I went to Hall of Fame, and I hardly check who's going to Dragon Con these days now, because like all I know is I'm going to Dragon Con. That's all that matters to me now. But I went to the Hall of Fame, and I was so happy because Josh Keaton was there this year, and if you guys don't know, he did the voice of Spider-Man in my favorite Spider-Man series, The Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah. So I got his autograph. He sounded really cool because he wrote Spidey, but he wrote it like in a mix of like red and blue markers, and it was amazing. And then like, he loved our son and everything, and we exchanged stories about kids, because that's what parents do now when we see celebrities who have also with young kids, is we talk about kids, and we don't talk about fandom.
Yeah, I saw him there. I didn't get close. There was a little bit of a line when I was there, and it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, I should have brought something. Because I don't like to buy like a photograph to get signed. If I'm going to, and I don't collect autographs, but if I get an autograph, I want, like, the first thing I had Tad Stones. I went to Dragon Con 3 years ago to meet Tad Stones. That was my one goal. I was going to meet him. I took my whole family, and I took my Darkwing Duck DVD.
Nice.
And that's what I had him. I was like, this is how I consume Darkwing Duck right now with my kids, and I want your signature on it.
Yeah.
But
he's actually signed to my Aladdin, Return of Jafar, and awesome. Prince of Thieves DVDs, because awesome. I'm a huge Aladdin fan.
Yeah.
He signed a bunch of my Darkwing Duck stuff too. But like I had like the second time I saw him, I was like, I need to have him sign these.
Yeah. And then, so I didn't have Spectacular Spider-Man on me to get it signed. And I was like, I wish I had realized he was here. I would have brought it.
So I have an action figure of, because I collect action figures, you guys know. But I have an action figure of Spectacular Spider-Man. I brought it over to Josh. Josh was totally excited to see the figure. He said that what I have is actually a really rare figure. I didn't really know this at this time, because when I bought it, I was like, oh, it's Spectacular Spider-Man. It has Josh's voice on it. I want to get this figure. Mm-hmm. But he was explaining to me that, like, because when it got released was when Disney bought Marvel, and they canceled the show. Because they canceled the show, they pulled the toys off the shelves, and they replaced they replaced the figure and the voice. They gave Spider-Man a new head, so it didn't look like Spectacular Spider-Man with the yellow eyes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they replaced the voice, and he said like it sounded like some like airline airline person. He was like trying his hardest not to insult the other person who voiced it.
Right.
Like, and I was like, it's okay, man. The guy took over your toy, but like he was actually really happy to see my action figure. That was a really cool moment I had with him.
Well, and like I said, he had a few people there that I thought it was really cool. I was shocked when I realized who he was, because I haven't followed his career.
Oh man, I've ever since Spectacular Spider-Man, I followed his career. Like my wife, she saw him, she was like, he could actually be like be like an actor. He looks really good. I'm like, well, he was in the Wonder Years, like back in the day.
Okay.
Like, yeah. He was a child actor.
Okay.
Yeah, and he totally told me everything he's doing that's coming up. But
that's always fun.
I can't say it all because it's not in public yet. It's something for Netflix. It's going to be a video game, and those are the only two I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has like new projects like coming up, and like I told him I was like really happy that he still has like things coming up.
Yeah. That's cool. The first thing that I got to do this year. Oh, we were talking about the FedEx guy.
Yeah, the FedEx guy. The FedEx guy. Oh my God.
Have you seen? I just saw this like an hour ago, or actually it may have been a few hours ago. The people at the Marriott have finally given up the FedEx, the cutout, and have given it to people who are planning on bringing it back next year.
I did not know that. All right. The FedEx thing, I gotta totally explain this. So, I didn't know it was a thing. I just thought it was weird because I walked into Marriott and all of a sudden I see the FedEx guy with like devil horns and like weird eyes and everything. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then I came back and all of a sudden like he has these stickers plastered all over him. Like I'm like, okay, now they're just like vandalizing. I was like, it's like my God. And then like the next day, he wasn't there, but they put like remembrance like tokens of him, like he like he died or something like that. I was like, what is going on? I did, and so the like Monday of Labor Day, like when I didn't go to the convention, I found out like from a lot of people like there's this whole story, and like if you guys like listen to this podcast, totally search up Joe the FedEx guy. Dragon Con, and you'll see like just a timeline of him, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on with it. Had I realized, because honestly, I thought it was just somebody in cosplay. Like I thought there was somebody standing behind those freaky eyes.
No, it's totally a standee.
But had I realized it, I had DuckTalks stickers on me. I would have put a DuckTalks sticker on him.
You totally should have done that. Oh man, we don't have moving lackpush stickers, unfortunately. I did find so I told my wife my goal because our we have like outdated business cards. I told her my goal is to give out all these business cards. I don't have any more of the outdated business cards. So next time you see us, guys, we will have brand new business cards, and they'll look totally awesome, and hopefully it'll actually look more Ninja Turtles than what we currently have.
I got cards for the first time for Fanboy, and I've got 50 of them, and I think I've handed out like, I don't know, 6 or 8. So yeah, I got to get. But Josh designed ours. They're pretty cool.
That's the way I'm like, So all right, so. Every year I host a Ninja Turtle panel. It was all cool and everything. But like, my thing was like, I made sure everyone got I made sure everyone got a card. I was like, I'm not leaving with cards.
It's awesome. Like, here, take a card. Take some cards.
Exactly. I was like,
hand cards out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly.
My first panel this year, actually my only panel this year. Spoiler alert: I didn't make it into any other panels. was a Star Wars panel, because I'm also a Star Wars fan, and so I made it to the we were all calling it the Wookiee panel. So it was, and I know I'm butchering this guy's name, but it's the current actor who plays Chewbacca in Star Wars, and his name is Jonas Suotamo. But part of the panel was a discussion on how you're supposed to say his name, and he said that he gives Americans a pass because we don't have the sound. Like in our English, the sound does not exist that is in the middle of his first and last name. So he's like, I just give you all a pass. He's like, you can't get it right. There's no way you'll ever get it right. He goes, he goes, this is my name and this is what you call me here.
I know the feeling because my last name does not have there's not an English letter for it. So some Orions spell it with a G, like I do. Some Orions they spell it with a K because either way, it kind of sounds like that. So that was the only panel you got to go to this year. You didn't want to stand in line for like 5 hours for another one, go outside and the blistering Atlanta heat.
I thought about it, but man, that vendor line was long enough. And we're making it sound like it's horrible. Most of the people that I talked to or that I've seen online said that it was totally worth every line they waited in. But I just didn't have enough time for it. Had I had 2 or 3 days, I probably would have stood in line a little bit longer. I really wanted to either go to the David Tennant or Catherine Tate panels and didn't make it to either of those. But I had other stuff that I was doing and was enjoying, so maybe next time. But the panel that I made it to was hosted by Alex, and Alex has a YouTube channel called Star Wars Explained, and I've been watching his channel for a couple of years now.
Nice.
So I'm a big fan. Like I wanted to go to it kind of in support of another online creator. Him and his wife, they have an excellent channel. His whole thing is, this is really cool. He's obviously a huge fan of Star Wars, and he got into doing Star Wars trivia nights. And so he started, because he's in Georgia, he started preparing for Dragon Con, and he kept losing at Dragon Con. And every time he'd lose, he'd really study harder and harder on whatever it was that he missed. And one of his friends told him, you should put this stuff out there, because he was talking about it all the time. You should do a YouTube channel. And so now it's turned into this big thing. I mean, it's a pretty big channel. I've never checked to see how many followers he has, but I know people all over the world who watch his channel. And
That's awesome.
But super nice guy. And I was talking with someone in line, and they were like, oh, it's a YouTuber doing that. He goes, the last time I went to a panel hosted by a YouTuber, they just talked about themselves the whole time. And I was like, this guy won't do that because he doesn't do it on his channel. And he didn't. Jonas was amazing. Like, super funny guy. And just, he gave a lot of insights. And I didn't take notes during the panel, but I was texting a buddy of mine who was very jealous that I was at this panel, and I was just looking over it, and I took note of a couple of things. Like, he got to work with Billy D. Williams, so I mean, we know now Chewie and Lando are going to be in scenes together, but he got to work with Billy D, and he talked about that a little bit. He said Chewie swears a lot. He's like, there are actual He says there's actual transcripts that they use. And he said in The Force Awakens, he was surprised at how much JJ had him swearing. And then Solo too. I think it was in Solo too.
Probably.
Maybe it was more so Solo. I can't remember. But he said that Solo was the most challenging movie for him to record, and that The Return of Skywalker was the most fun to record. So
nice.
I think that's going to be really cool. He was very positive about Star Wars as a whole. He grew up a fan and never saw himself getting the role. And then he talked about taking over for Peter Mayhew and the loss this past year of losing a mentor and a friend and all that. It was really, really exceptional. Like, as far as panels that I've been able to attend, best panel I've ever been to.
That's because you haven't got you didn't go to mine. That's why.
I wasn't there for yours. Honestly, I'm a huge Turtles fan too. At least old school. I do like some of the new stuff. I just haven't gotten into it like I did.
Right.
I mean, I had Turtles on everything when I was a kid. I'm sure everybody else did.
Yeah, I will say so. I've been hosting panels at DragonCon for I want to say 6 or 7 years now. I can't remember how long now. What really makes a panel is the audience, and hands down, this year was like one of my best audience I ever had in a panel. So if you guys actually are listening and you guys went to my panel, you guys like made it awesome. I can't like thank you guys enough. I will say before I went to the panel, because I always get surprised whenever there's a line for my panel, because I'm like, I'm just Joe Schmo doing a Ninja Turtle panel in like the basement of the Hilton. I think this year was. I'm in the basement somewhere. But there's some reason there's a line, and so I told my wife, all right, this year what we're gonna do is, we're gonna get there about like 45, 30 minutes early, and we're gonna see the line, and we're totally gonna mess with the person in the front of the line. We're gonna be like, oh, what's this panel for? Who's hosted it? And I was gonna mispronounce my name. Just mess with them. Just do all this and then be like, then afterwards we're gonna give them like a art print or something like that. I get there, I see the line, big size line. As soon as I get there, the people in the front, they see me, and the first thing they say was, "Why weren't you here last year?" And they already knew who I was, and I felt so humble. I was like, "Whoa!" Yeah. It was just amazing feeling right there. They already knew who I was. That they were looking forward, they were looking forward to me, and so the whole video idea got scrapped right away.
Well, I saw your pictures that you posted, and I was super glad you had a good time. I was quite impressed with the room, and I know everyone there was having a good time.
Yes. Everyone's having a good time. We got it recorded, so and whenever we recorded, we to make it interesting, we chop it up, so you don't have the whole hour of me talking and everything. And also we got to do that to the licensing music, so that way YouTube doesn't yell at us, be like, "Hey, why are you playing Ninja Turtles music?" But always whenever we do our panels, the big thing I always do is we got to play the Ninja Turtles theme song, and I tell people they have to sing. If they don't sing, they have to leave the panel because you're not
out.
You're out. You're out. You're not allowed to be in the panel without singing the song. So everyone had a good time.
And we're singing Next Mutation. Let's go.
Exactly. I had people sing Next Mutation. I don't think I had people sing Rise. Some takeaways from the panel was people were forgiving about Michael Bay, but as soon as I mentioned Rise of the Ninja Turtles, just groans everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really was which is funny because when I mentioned Rise in MomoCon a few months ago, people were like, "Oh, I'm enjoying Rise," and this was total opposite here.
Well, that's MomoCon's an animation convention, right? Yeah. So I can see that. Also, because some of those people would be more open to the changes and just animation in general. What I've seen of Rise, I enjoyed. There's a few choices that the show has made that I wasn't a huge fan of, but what I've seen, I've enjoyed.
I will say about Rise is that I look at it as a '90s Nicktoon.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it then that silliness, and it really reminds me of Invader Zim and that kind of stuff. Once I put it in there and not trying to put it into the turtle, into the other turtle universes, I enjoy it. I enjoy the sarcastic humor. I enjoy just everything in there. And if you guys are a big fan of Mark Beats from DuckTales, the current series.
Who, us?
What?
Who, us?
Yeah, who else?
Exactly. Fans of Mark Beats?
I've heard of DuckTales. They made a 2017 version of it.
Right.
Yeah, but if you enjoy Mark Beeks, Donatello knocks it out of the park. He is like one of my favorite characters in that series. Like he just everything he says is just comedy gold, and that's what I love about that. And then, but yeah, like mentioned Rise, and then as soon as I mentioned Batman versus Ninja Turtles, everyone just cheered, and I just kept on hearing clip, 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 and so and like I had a freaking 2-minute clip, and like I try not to show long clips,
Right.
but people like wanted to see a clip, so I showed the fight with the Turtles and Batman, and everyone was like all cheering about that, and it was cool. And then I always get humbled when I get asked for autographs, so like
Oh, wow.
that was like yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah. Like, and I try not to sound conceited about this, but because the first year someone asked me for an autograph, I didn't have a pen. So now I always carry pens with me. I'm not saying that because
Right.
it's like 1 out of five times people ask me for my autograph, but now like I always carry a pen with me because just in case, because like that 1 year I had to like go grab a hotel pen, and and signing stuff with like a ballpoint pen sucks.
Well, you're the Dragon Con Ninja Turtle guy.
Exactly, yeah. So, but yeah, that was all cool. And then, and Sunday morning I got to host I didn't host. I was a part of a panel for Sunday morning cartoons, which that was cool because it was a panel I didn't have to do. I just had to show up and talk. And we talked, and we did talk about the new DuckTalks series. I mean, we got to talk about that and everything. I let people know that that Darkwing Duck is in there. Oh, I forgot. In my Ninja Turtles panel, 2 people were dressed up as Darkwing Duck and Launchpad. That was like really cool. I didn't have a chance to get their picture because they were one of the people that like left as soon as the panel was over. But overall, I had a great time like doing my panels, and yeah.
One of the things that I've enjoyed doing more so this year, because last year I was really just fanboying big time.
Right.
Because James Silvani, it was the second time I'd met James, but the first time I met him, I had my girls with me, and they were like bumping his table and stuff, and I was freaking out. And then, then of course Tad as well, and he was there again. But when I walked up, they recognized me, and so it was really cool. And then I got to meet Aaron Sparrow for the first time. This year, I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't going to get to do that because they weren't there. But Don Rosa was going to be there. I met Don last year. You actually, the first year I went, I didn't realize Don Rosa was there. You were actually the person that pointed out to me that I had missed him.
Yeah, you did. Don Rosa, like, he goes to, like, I don't think I've ever been to a Dragon Con where he was not there.
He said he's always been there.
Yeah. And, like, Don's super nice guy. Like, he autographed my book, my Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck and everything. And of course, like, when I give him my name, because I don't give him whenever I get people to sign my stuff, I don't give them like Jason, because Jason, like they meet like thousands of Jasons out there. I always give them like my birth name, Sohail. Uh-huh. And so of course, like he sees that name, he's like, oh, where's that from and everything. We had a good conversation about how much he appreciates that I came to the country. But I didn't want to correct him and be like, well, my parents were born here. They were the ones who came to the country. I was just born here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a good immigration talk, which was cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. The first time I met Don, and it's on an episode of DuckTalks. You can hear my experience. I was really excited to meet him, and I went into it knowing I was going to make a fool of myself. So I was on my way into the building. I was already talking about how I was trying to find my way into the vendor hall. And I was texting Pirate and Josh because I knew Pirate wanted me to pick up some prints for him from Don Rosa. And I was trying to find out which ones do you want me to buy. And he was having a hard time deciding. And he was like, are you there right now? I was like, well, I'm in the same building as him. And for Dragon Con, that's pretty close.
Yeah, that's the same close. You might as well be shaking his hand by that point.
Yeah, 2 hours later, I'm in front of Don Rosa, which is not entirely untrue because I walked through both vendor halls or both buildings. Right. Yeah, so and so I get there, and I'm just kind of perusing, trying to see what he has that Pirate had seen online and was interested in. And so he gave me a little while, and he was like, so he said, "You find anything interesting or something?" I can't remember what it was. And I was like, I have found a lot, but I've got something that, a buddy of mine is looking for, and I'm trying to figure out what he wants. And I'm like messaging him. I was like, "I'm in front of Don Rosa. What do you want?" And so I'm talking with him, and there's another guy that's there who comes up and starts talking with him, and they get to talking about the Fantagraphics books and stuff, and so I kind of get involved in the conversation, and so when the other guy leaves, I pull out my I had my Life and Times volume 1 that Fantagraphics put out this year, and I also had I don't remember what issue number it is, but it's the Son of the Suns first printing.
Yeah,
and I had that issue. That's the comic I decided to bring.
Nice.
And so I pulled them out, and he just lights up. He's excited. Mm-hmm. This is actually somebody who knows my work, right? Not somebody who's got a DuckTalks, because obviously I had a DuckTalks t-shirt on with the new design and everything. He's like, "Oh, great, another one of those guys."
Right.
But last year I was that guy. So as I was coming in and I'm messaging Pirate, he's like, "Make sure you ask him what was it he said? Make sure you ask him if he's got any prints with the new design from the DuckTales." I was like, "You're a jerk."
That sounds like something Pirate would say.
Yeah, I was like, "You're such a jerk." Actually, I don't even know that I stopped to message him. I might not have answered him for a little while. So yeah, I learned that lesson. Later, I told Pirate and Josh, I was like, "Man, I got to spend like an hour and a half with Don Rosa," and Pirate was like, what was it? He has something about DuckTales. I was like, "No," and I didn't even bring it up first. I made sure not to say anything about it, but we joke about that because of Don's. He's got this sign up, this lets people know. Because when you think about it, he worked on the character, and he really put out the quintessential Uncle Scrooge story. Yeah, and he's constantly got people coming up and asking him about DuckTales. And it becomes awkward. And for him, why not put out a sign to keep that from happening?
Did you notice that the sign is different this year? Now it talks about the new series?
I didn't even read it, no.
Yeah, no, it's because it says, I'm totally paraphrasing because I didn't take a picture of it because he was like sitting right in front of it. I've taken pictures of the sign before, but it says, it has a standard. This is not like the original series was loosely based off of the works of Carl Banks, and then it says, and the new series is not associated with this whatsoever.
Yeah, no. So he actually had that sign last year too.
Oh, he had that sign last year. I wasn't there last year, so
that's true. Sense. That's true. Yeah, no, he had it last year because I told him my story of and I told him the story again because he might have recognized me. I don't know if he did or not, but telling him that I grew up on DuckTales and I love the current stuff. I love all of it, and I love every version of the character. And people introduced me to his work and Bark's work, and I'm a big fan of all of it. And so we had some really great conversations, and he sat. It was amazing. I was really just blown away. We sat down and he allowed me to ask him a bunch of questions that I had about some of his stories and about his work. And he just really enjoyed sitting there and going through the Fantagraphics volume. He's like, I love to just sit and look at it because these are correct. Yeah. It's like all the stuff that they messed up when it was published the first time, these have been fixed. And he kept showing me, this, when they first did it, they did this, and now they fixed it, and it's just how I imagined it. But I got to ask him some kind of personal questions about the character, even to the point that he was like, because I literally, I was like, I'm going to ask him this question. And I took my phone, because I'd had it out, because I was waiting on Pirate to answer me. Yeah. I took my phone, and I put it in my pocket. And then I asked him a question, and he started to answer. He goes, "You're not recording this, are you?" I was like, "I just put my phone in my pocket so you knew I wasn't recording this." And so, I got to have a real conversation with him. And then, of course, I invited him to come on the podcast. I was like, "Listen, we started off talking about DuckTales, but we love the comics and we love your work, and we'd love to talk with you about it." And we talked about the the documentary, Morgan Jekyll's The Scrooge Mystery. He asked me if I thought it was good, and he said, I'd be biased if I said I thought it was good. I think Morgan did a good job, but and I started to answer him, and something got me sidetracked, like I never do. And he goes, "You never answered my question." I was like, "No, I did. I told you it was good. It was really good." I was like, me and my girls have watched it together. I really enjoyed it. I said, I did not know the first time that I met you. I didn't know any of that about your history with the characters and everything. I just knew you wrote some stories that I liked. So, man, it was just, you can't get that, with every person that you meet at a convention. Right. And it's funny because, I mean, you hear some people joke, and I saw some people this week joking about how rough he can be sometimes, and he is. I mean, he's a lot like Scrooge McDuck, but if he realizes that you genuinely are a fan, he will spend a lot of time with you, and I think that's very cool. Yeah,
I think that's really cool. One, you mentioned Don Rosa and everything. Well, one last story I actually have is when I was trying to find the print for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from Rob Taylor.
Herofied.
Herofied, yes. You wrote the word herofied, and I assume you talked
typo.
Like you. No. I thought you were said I was the herofied.
Oh, you are. You are.
And so it didn't even cross my mind. Like, so I'm here. So Mitch wanted a print from an artist. His name was Rob Taylor. So
I missed it. I went over and I looked at it and I was like, man, I'm going to come back and buy this from you. Yeah. And I don't know why I didn't buy it right then, but in my mind, I was like, I don't know how many prints I'm buying from Don Rosa.
Right.
and I ended up closing down the hall with Don Rosa. Like, they ran us off. I got like 3 warnings that I had to leave. And when I turned around, Rob Taylor was gone. So.
Right. So I'm here looking for a sign that says Rob Taylor. Like, like one of those like paper signs that says like Rob Taylor and everything. I'm like, I'm not seeing it. Like, well, this whole time, my wife is like standing next to that booth because she's tired and she's like ready to go home and everything. And I'm like, I am not seeing this. And then I go and check your messages. You wrote B20, and I'm here. I find B21. I find B36. I'm like, I cannot find. And so I was like, and I was like, I can't find this. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go because wife is like hangry at this point. She's hungry. She's ready to go. She's still on Iran time. And then I check. Finally, I checked the map because I actually tried to check the app. Right. The app didn't have him at all. Like, they had Robin Taylor, who was like the star of Gotham, but they didn't have Rob Taylor. Uh-huh. So I finally check. I finally check the map, and I find out where B20 is, and I was like, it's the one that my wife was at the whole time. So I go there. Obviously I take the picture of you. You confirmed that was the booth and everything, and then I finally get to booth. I see the word herofied, and that's like when everything clicked together. And then it's small little letters said Rob Taylor. I'm like, really? You couldn't make your name a little bigger? I mean,
but man, was
be like, hey, it's me.
Right. Well, and it did say herofied in big letters somewhere.
Yeah, it said herofied,
and that's why I include.
I was looking for herofied.
And that's why I put it.
You assumed I was the herofied.
Well, what was funny was when I sent you that message on Saturday morning, I had made a point before I left because he had left. I made a point to go, okay, what's the name of the booth? Oh, it's Herofied. So I put a little note, Herofied. Yeah. And so Saturday morning when I'm messaging you, I'm like, oh, I need that guy's name. So I had to search out his name to figure out what his name was. And I said Herofied Rob Taylor. But man, is that print not sweet? I loved that.
That print is like really sweet, and only reason it hasn't been mailed out for you yet is because of apparently Walmart does not sell poster tubes. I need to stay.
You're kidding.
I'm no, apparently Walmart in Georgia, because I had to buy milk and baby food, and I was like, oh, I'll just pick up the poster tube in here, and I'm like, I don't see it here, and I'm like, oh, like I can't spend too much time. So
you'll get it to me. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I think when I grabbed one for Fanboy, I had to go to, it was either a Staples or an Office Max.
Right, yeah. So most definitely, if I don't go there tomorrow, I know I'll be there on Thursday because it's next to the gaming place I go to every Thursday night. So
I'm just excited that you were able to pick it up for me. I thought I'd missed out. I told my wife, the first thing I told her when I got in the car, I was like, I'm really bummed that I missed out on this print. I was like, I can't believe that I missed it. I was like, I'm super stoked that I spent almost 2 hours with Don Rosa, but I really wanted that print. I don't know why I didn't buy it when I first saw it. I did talk to him for a little bit. He had his Star Wars prints too. Like I told him, I actually asked him, I was like, man, I want that. I'm going to buy that. I said, I don't see anything and I'm sure you don't have it, but I have to ask. My daughter's a huge Spider-Gwen fan. Do you have anything like that with Spider-Gwen? He goes, I've been telling myself for a while I needed to do that. He goes, it would be cool, wouldn't it? I was like, oh, it would be awesome. I said, if you're here next year and you've got one, I promise I'll buy one.
Nice.
So
nice. Hopefully he'll be there.
Yeah. And I messaged him and let him know. I was like, hey, I'm the guy that stood you up. I'm sure there were a bunch of them, but I was like, I got somebody coming to buy that today. So I don't think he ever responded. He might not have checked, Yeah,
he might not have checked. I don't know if you know this or not, but the print has his signature on the back.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, hey, look, his signature is there.
Well, we've got an episode to get to.
Yes, we do.
We'd both said we were going to do like 45 minutes. And this part was supposed to be 20.
You can always blame me. I'm always long-winded.
Well, I am too. but I wanted to point out I did have a couple of really cool connections as well. While I was there, I did go see Kimberly Brooks, who's a voice actress, and I met with while I was waiting to meet with her. I don't really know what to call these people. I don't handler. Okay,
handlers. That's what they are.
Her handler. Who was there, saw my shirt and was like, are you a fan of DuckTales? And I was like, yeah. So we got to talking about DuckTales, and she was like, I'm growing my hair out like this because I wanted to do like Lena Dispel, and I'm a huge Lena Dispel fan. And
nice.
She was telling me about how excited she was that Kimberly did the parts in that episode of DuckTales, and we were just talking, and then when I was able to move up, I got to speak with Kimberly as well, and I'm an awkward person. I got up there and I'm like, I don't collect autographs, but I wanted to say hi. I'm like, I'm not going to give you any money. I felt like such an idiot, but that's just who I am. I was like, I'm honestly just, I love this and I love that you did it. And I realize, I'm looking at your poster and you don't have any DuckTales on there, but you got all kinds of other stuff. She's like, I need to get some DuckTales on there. But, I'm like, I just wanted to say, really enjoyed the characters. My girls love Peg Leg Meg, like from that episode with the Sky Pirates. That's one of their favorite parts. They run around singing that song all the time. And so we were talking about the show and everything. And she was like, wait, you do a podcast? And we got to talking about that. And I invited her on the show, and she seemed pretty open to the idea. And they took one of my business cards, and then, I was like, I got buttons. And by then there were other people waiting. So I stepped aside and I grabbed a couple buttons and left it with her handler, and, told her thank you, because it was really enjoyed getting to talk with them and meet them. They were super nice. And I walked off, and like a few minutes later, Pirate sends me a text with a image where Kimberly had tweeted at us, thanking us for the pin and for stopping by. So that was really cool. We hope to have her on. And then I also got to speak with Jason Marsden.
Nice.
Yeah, the voice of Max Goof. I missed him last year at Fanboy because I missed what day Fanboy was. But got to meet up with him and talk with him, and really super guy. It did the same awkward, sorry, I don't buy autographs conversation. Yeah. So he'll probably never come on the show now. No, I'm just kidding. But super nice. And I explained to him that we consider a Goofy movie a continuation of Goof Troop and part of the Disney Afternoon. So we'd love to talk with him about it. So, maybe one of these days we get to work that out. I know he's like in Nashville now, which is, not too far from me. And so he came to Fanboy last year. And this October, we've got a ton of animation people coming and voice actors. So, of course, I know Marsden does, more than just voice acting. He does, all kinds, but that'd be really cool. And then I also got to meet a few people who liked the show or the shirt and wanted to talk with me about the podcast, and that was cool. People who just fans of DuckTales who want to talk about. I didn't see any cosplay. I know that happened later. I've seen pictures online, but I didn't run into any on Friday. But I did run into Katie. We just came across her on Twitter like the third, I guess it was the Wednesday or Thursday before Dragon Con while I was doing some prep, and I was online, hope to see some people, and she was asking some questions about Dragon Con because it was going to be her first time there. And so I was at Don Rose's booth when she saw me and came up and we got to talk for a while. And so I don't know if Katie's listening to the podcast, but it was great talking with you, and I was able to give her a pin, and she's new to the, like I say, it was first time at that convention. So she was having a good time. That was really cool.
That's pretty cool. So one voice actress we did get to run into. She was not in the Walk of Fame, but she was in the vendor hall, and this was Samantha Newhark. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But she is the voice of Jem.
Okay.
So and the
holograms.
Jem and the holograms. Yeah, exactly. So. We got to see her. She remembered us from because a few months ago there was a Power Ranger convention here in Atlanta, and we spent a bunch of time because we did filming on that kind of stuff, and we just spent a bunch of time at her booth, and she loved our son. So cool. We saw her, and she was all excited to see us and everything. So I think she was excited to see the baby, not us. But yeah, she was super sweet and everything. She actually had a line. We were actually really happy she had a line. But she actually got out of her line to hold Ali-san or my son for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then she invited us to another convention down in Orlando, so we're gonna go down there now. Yeah. So it was actually really cool. My wife and I, we felt super bad because we've never asked for her for an autograph. She's been super sweet to us, and and so what we're gonna do is that we actually have a picture of her holding my son that she let us take when back at that other convention. Yeah. So we're going to print it out, and then we're gonna actually have her autograph that picture.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's fun about these conventions. So, I mean, if you've never been to Dragon Con, I highly recommend it. And one of these years, as we continue to go, we'll do something DuckTalks related. But hey, we can always crash a Turtles panel too.
Yeah, you guys can always crash a Turtles panel. One of these years, Mitch and I will actually see each other at Dragon Con.
Yeah, that could happen.
It will happen 1 year. Well,
3 years and it hasn't happened yet. I don't know how that's...
Exactly. Next year, I'm not going to give him my schedule. I'm going to so that way he's going to have to play Russian roulette which day he goes on.
What day could it be? But Dragon Con was spectacular. It had a great time. It goes by too quick. Definitely want to try to get more days in next time. And I said that last year too. But I want to do it next year. If I hadn't planned a last-minute family trip, it probably would have happened. Well, let's take a look. We're not going to cover all the duck merch that I have in the notes because we've got some time on some of these, but there are a few things that just happened this week, so we're going to jump into that. Loungefly has released a Scrooge purse, and looking at it, there's the Disneyland and Walt Disney World. These are exclusive. Not on Shop Disney at the moment. Don't know if these will eventually show up, but right now they're available there. There was also a number of releases. There were 2 or 3 shirts that were fit for women, made for women. and in their design and everything. And so those are available. There was a few things. You can check those out online. I don't think we have a blog up yet, but I might try to get that out before this episode comes out. Because we've just been seeing it on Twitter.
For all the lady listeners out there.
Yeah.
Ladies, you got shirts.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of shirts. The Disney store had a Rescue Rangers shirt out not long ago that I saw it from a distance. And I was like, oh, yes, that's an amazing-looking Rescue Ranger shirt. And I walked up and held it up. And my wife started laughing at me. She goes, I don't think that's going to look good on you.
Was it also a girl shirt?
It was. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it wasn't cut for me.
Speaking of Rescue Rangers, I do the Disney Marathon every year. And last year, the Rescue Rangers were there for the 10K, but they weren't. But I didn't do the 10K. I only did the half and the full. So, Disney World, if you listen to this, bring the Rescue Rangers on the half day. And bring Darkwing Duck back too. That was cool too.
Just more Rescue Rangers in general. That's what we do.
Yes, exactly. Just more Rescue Rangers in general. Yes, I would love that.
We also in the we're going to consider this Duck merch, but it's a little bit more video games. Huey, Dewey, and Louie have been added to Disney Heroes, and this month, the month of September, they are actually, you can earn them by logging in every day. So want to get that news out there. If you want those characters, they should be easy to earn this month. Need to be logging in. Hopefully you've already seen this and you've got to jump on them because we're 3 days in, people.
That's right. Start logging in. Yeah. Get those ducks in there, and then they can what's their attack? Do they shoot slingshots or something like that? Or
I've not earned them or looked them up yet. I am playing right now so that I can earn them, but I haven't looked at their moveset or anything. But I'm sure there is. They are all 3 together. They're not at 3 individuals.
I kind of figured that. I kind of figured they'll be a little pack or not pack, but they're just all together and everything. And I haven't actually seen the image, but I'm guessing they're the classic Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah, and the design, the design aesthetics that they used from the game looks really good on them.
That's good.
But it is the classic hat with the shirt. So
that's pretty cool.
Matching shirts. Cool. Also today there was the release of DuckTales Duck Duck Golf. This was an excellent book that we were able to get our hands on a little bit early, and we already did a review over on DuckTalks.com, so everyone can check that out. It's a great book, a lot of fun. I'm not going to say much about it because Lexi, my daughter, loved this book and has actually recorded a review for it, so I'm going to put that in the podcast right here. Hey there, fellow Duck fans. This is Mitch, and I'm here with Lexi and Paisley.
Hello. Hello.
And we are reviewing DuckTales Duck Duck Golf. This book came out last week, and we've had it a little bit longer. They sent it to us early so that we could review it. And we put a blog out reviewing the book already, and I thought, what better way to do a review for the podcast than to include the girls in the review, since the book is aimed for their age. So, both of you have read this book?
Yes.
All right.
Just today.
Right, so Lexi has read it before, but Paisley read it
A week ago I read it.
Right. So, what did you guys think of the book?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Liked it a lot?
I liked it a lot. A bunch.
A bunch. Did it remind you of anything?
It did.
What did it remind you of?
It reminds me of Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles? Okay.
This book reminded me of the show on DuckTales of it.
Okay. Was there an episode that this book reminded you of?
It was called Duck Duck Golf, just like this book.
Well, it was actually called The Missing Links of Morshire.
Oh, yeah.
But it is the same story, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Duck Duck Golf was written, or it was adapted for this book by an author named Maggie Fisher. And she does a great job, I think, of taking the book, or that story, and condensing it to a short book, because it's only a few pages. It's like 14 pages.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you feel like you had the whole story? I mean, you've watched the episode several times, and you've read the book. Do you feel like you got the whole story in the book?
Yeah, I just wish they actually left out one part that I thought was really funny in the episode. Whenever Glomgold's legs are still stone and he's trying to walk away home, I wish that they did that instead of having his legs normal.
Okay.
That's what I wish happened. Yeah.
Did you notice anything, Paisley, that was missing?
I noticed
The same thing?
So I noticed that we don't see, okay,
That was it? Okay, no, that's fine. What was your favorite part of this book?
Oh, my favorite part was whenever, they are all, like, standing, like, and they're all turning to stone.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah. So you might have been able to hear she pulled a tab. Can you describe what is special about this book? What makes it different from other books?
That there's like 2 tabs on every single page.
Yeah, there's these pull tabs, and so as you're reading it, you are instructed to pull the tab.
I'll tell you like the first one. So it's like Dewey's learning how to golf. No, it's not. Launchpad and Scrooge are driving onto the golf course.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So do you feel like the tabs added to the story for you? Yeah. Does it make it more fun?
Yeah.
What about you, Paisley? Do the tabs make it more fun?
So I really like about this book. So I like the way where Dewey has his golf
Club? Yeah.
club, and then he swings the ball when Scrooge couldn't.
Uh-huh. Okay. So do you think there was like a moral to the story, or was there a lesson to be learned?
That always let other people have turns.
Always let it, okay, no, that's good, because Scrooge had to learn that lesson, right?
And
He wanted to kind of
do
win
it
it on
himself.
his own. Yeah.
But Dewey actually taught him that by taking the golf club.
Yeah.
So sometimes taking things actually teaches people a lesson. So
Okay. Paisley, who was your favorite character in the book?
Baby Panda Crack, she's my favorite corner pack.
And what was Webby doing in this book?
Go Scrooge!
Right. Okay. How about you? Did you have a favorite character?
I had 2, Scrooge and Dewey.
Scrooge and Dewey. Okay. All right.
I have a second one.
Do you have a second one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The nerd.
What nerd?
Huey.
Oh, Dewey. Okay. He's doing the commentary with Launchpad. They didn't have a lot of that commentary, did they?
So I liked Scrooge and Dewey because, like, Scrooge and Dewey always make it like an adventure, every single thing, and like, yeah.
Okay. Now, what did you guys think about the artwork? I know you were talking about it earlier.
I like literally love it. I think it really catches the cartoon look, and it just makes it look so like the cartoon.
What about you, P?
So, I think about the artwork that it's really cool. It's really realistic. It's really cool. It's really realistic from the cartoon. I love the ball things, and I love the way that Webby's bow is so realistic.
Okay.
And I really think that whoever made this book could have left these like circles on the bottom of them.
The shadows?
Yeah, the shadow things and the grass right here out.
Okay.
In the
So
back.
so the book is rated for ages 6 to 8. Paisley, you're 6. So did you think this book was something that would be hard for you to read? On your own?
So they're like like little words, and I can't really read little words, so I think it would be hard to be. But I think I would handle it because somebody could read it to me.
Okay.
Like that.
And Lexi, you're 8.
Plus I can read the title.
Okay. Lexi, you're 8. Did you have any problems reading the book?
No, I just thought there was like some words that didn't really I couldn't really understand them.
Okay.
And I wish that those words would be meant to not the non-literal meaning, like the literal meaning.
All right, so your review. Thumbs up or thumbs down on DuckTales Duck Duck Golf?
Thumbs up.
I would say thumbs up.
All right. Okay, so it's thumbs up on the DuckTales Duck Duck Golf. We enjoyed the book. We're hoping to see more books like this for DuckTales. It'd be nice to have them out on shelves so that the more people, more kids would see the show. So. And
I hope that they make a book that's like the one where all the the 2 DuckTales Della the 3 DuckTales Della episodes. I wish they made those 3 into books because we don't get to hear a lot about Della since she just came back from the room, and so yeah.
Yeah, maybe we get some more Della stories. That'd be really good to get some books with Della. Well, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you, girls, for joining me.
Bye!
Bye.
All right, and we're going to send it back to the podcast.
That was an excellent review. I loved every second of it.
She's been looking forward to that. She's been working on it for a few days. She's been thinking about it for longer, and she really, really wanted to talk about this book. It was a lot of fun for her, and I love the art in this book. It is a book geared for a younger audience. It's a kid's book. The art is spectacular, so if you're into references of the characters, it's probably not the worst money you could spend to pick that up. I mean, the story is based. I mean, it's a retelling of the Missing Links of Morshire, so it's a lot of fun. It's got Glomgold in it and Launchpad, less Launchpad than you would think, but yeah, it's fun. And then there's some pins coming out later in the month, and then there's a 5-minute storybook coming out late in the month. We've got those. I think it was Pirate put out a blog about everything coming out this month that we know of at the moment, so you can check that out. I think there's links to purchase anything that's on Amazon through one of our affiliate links, which does help us it does help us at no additional cost to you, so we appreciate that.
And then the most important duck merch out there is the one that my wife got me during her trip to Iran, and which is a Scrooge McDuck board game. Yes.
Oh, yeah, you were telling us about this.
Yes, it is. I have not had a chance to play it yet, but I will have a review up for you guys on the DuckTales on the DuckTalks blog, and I'm also planning to do a video review. I just haven't had a chance to do it, but everything's written in Farsi, and I can't actually read Farsi. But unlike the Munchkins game, this is an actual board game. Yeah. So Scroogeopoly does exist. It does not actually say Scroogeopoly. It's actually rich duck gets richer or something like that. But it's the closest thing we can get to Scroogeopoly at the current time.
At the time being, yeah.
At the time being, yes. There is no link to buy this because I'm pretty sure Disney does not actually support this product, and they're probably gonna hunt down the Iranian who actually made that and sue him for all the money he has, even though he's in a different country.
Well, we look forward to hearing about the game. That Munchkin game is supposed to come out soon too. I don't know that I've seen there were some pre-orders that had an August date, and obviously that didn't happen. I think it's going to be in the next month or two. That's why it wasn't. That's why it wasn't on our blog yet, because we don't have the exact date.
Gotcha. Have you ever played Munchkins before?
I haven't, but the plan is for me to play it in October.
You know Munchkins is a 3-player game.
Yes.
So first things first, yes. Because I've tried to play Munchkins 2-player and it totally did not work.
Yeah, Josh says it's not fun 2-player.
It's really not fun 2-player because like the best parts is like the backstabbing. And you only have that when there's a third person there.
Yeah.
But I personally own a bunch of Munchkins. I mean, of course, I have the Ninja Turtles one that I kickstarted like I want to say a year ago, and then like I have the Nightmare Before Christmas. I have the base game, but Munchkins is a fun one. I really wish it would be really cool if the DuckTales version wasn't just the cards and the die, and it was like some Munchkins version actually has like a board and some pieces in there. It would be cool if the DuckTales had that.
The back of the box said there are figures.
The back of the box says there are figures? From what I saw,
I think so.
I don't. Oh, I have to. There could be some paper figures in there. But
that might be it.
Like, yeah, because that's a card box. That's
okay.
That's 100% just cards because. There's no board for Munchkins. There is no board.
Okay.
You play like they tell you like your character. You have to put like a token, for your character, and that's how you do your lives.
Okay.
And then but if you buy the deluxe version, it has a board and like characters because like the base version actually you can switch between guy and girl. So maybe DuckTales you can like switch from girl duck and guy duck. I mean, it depends. Like I haven't actually.
Yeah, it does say 6 plastic trackers.
Okay,
so they're probably like coins.
Yeah, they're coins. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Because like I said, there's no board, there's no figures. Like you just have. And like they probably have those trackers to keep so you can like keep your life. They could come out with with the turtles. The turtles came up with individual character cards, so you could be like Michelangelo, Donatello, and all the other characters. Mm-hmm. It could be possible like you have like different like duck characters, like you can be Scrooge or the boys or Webby and that kind of stuff, and they give you the plastic token so you can keep track of the lives because the levels are on a card itself.
Okay. All right. Well, that is it for Duck merch. And we'll be paying attention to, we've got comics coming out this month, so we've got to add that to the blog and talk about that. Because the DuckTales comic is back. We had issue 1 this past month of Science and Silence, and it was a fun issue. We also had issue 6 of the Disney Afternoon Giant, which is on every other week or every other month release.
Other month.
Yeah, so not being released this month will be issue 7 will be next month. Couple great stories in there right now.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're doing Duck Knight Returns right now, aren't they? In the Disney comic, the Giant.
Yep. Yeah, the last one was the second issue of the Duck Knight Returns. So this will be the third issue on.
This will be the third issue. So I'm guessing number 7 will be the 4th issue.
Well, I'm sorry, number 7 will be the third issue.
Oh, number 7 will be the third issue. Okay.
5 and 6 were the first 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the Rescue Rangers story is, I've got it somewhere, but it's I think it's part of a 2-parter, not a 4-parter. So,
if I remember, I think Rescue Rangers only had 2 comics. I only have one of them because I got it from the Free Comic Book Day back in the day when Boom did it. But I want to say they only made 2 Rescue Rangers because by this time, this is like after Rescue Rangers was when Boom lost their license.
Okay.
For the Disney Comics.
The Rescue Rangers comic is really nice. I've really enjoyed it, and the art, for the most part, there's a few places where it seemed like it got rushed, but for the most part, the art's really, really good. And I will say this. I've only ever read the Definitively Dangerous edition of the Darkwing comic, and that is superior to what I've read so far in the Disney Afternoon Giant.
Okay, that was actually going to be my next question. Was if it was that version or the Kaboom version?
It is not. It is the original
It is
print. Yeah.
okay.
And they've done that for all of them. My understanding is that in the DuckTales comic, when they released that in trade paperback form, they had corrected, or not corrected, they had polished it up. Because the DuckTale comics that are being printed in the Disney Afternoon Giant, there's a lot of pages that look rushed. I mean, like online comic rushed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Gotcha.
It goes from, man, this looks great. And you turn the page and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know that this is any more than lines, and then they put color on it. I mean, you know, and from what I've heard, that was all corrected in trade paperback form, but for some reason IDW's printing the original.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Because I own the trade paperback of the DuckTales.
Yeah.
The Darkwing, I own all the issues. And the only 2 issues of the DuckTales I own is like when they did the crossover between Darkwing and DuckTales. Those are the only 2 like single issues I own, and that was not in the trade paperback,
right.
For obvious reasons.
And I'm hoping that gets released. However, that is apparently what made them lose their license, because they 2 of those issues were actually published without Disney's approval.
Yeah, they had the story. They had the story, and those 2 issues were like super hard to find because they were because they lost the license, and so they released those 2 issues like together, like because normally they were like 2 weeks apart from each other, and then they're like, oh, we lost it, and they just rush it out.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So they lost the license and then put those 2 out.
Yes, they lost the license and put them out because like it was already done.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and, it was a big thing, and it was so bad that even though I reserved it at my comic book store, they couldn't get it for me, and so I had to go to another comic book store to actually get those like final 2 issues, but but they released it on like the final day that they could actually release it, and legally they could not reprint it.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see if IDW has the rights to print that or not, or if it will get reprinted. I know we've talked about that already, and there's a lot of interest online to be able to read it. So unless there was anything in it that would just completely tarnish the characters, and I've heard some people really don't like that story anyway. It's possible.
It's like there's one part there's one part that they do with the boys I didn't like it, and I thought it was like stupid. I can't now. I know the DuckTales was done by Warren Ellis, which I love his work. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if he worked on the DuckTales Darkwing crossover or not.
Yeah, I've not looked to see who wrote that. Yeah, we'll be covering the comics more as they come out. Let's go ahead and jump into whatever happened to Donald Duck.
What? Donald Duck? Who's that person?
Right? Where did he come from? It feels like it was forever the last time we heard about Donald Duck.
It feels like it's been forever since we had new episodes.
That's because it has been. So this episode of DuckTales was a great episode. We're going to do our 30-second recap before we kind of jump into our favorite parts. Before we do that, I just wanted to point out that this episode was written by Colleen Evanson, and it was directed by Jason Zurich. And Jason Reister. Jason Zurich and Reister. And I'm still guessing that's how you say his last name, because I know somebody spells it that way and says it that way. Tori Harris, Jason Reister, and let's see. Sam King worked on this one, and Sebastian Duclos worked on the boards for this episode. So, great episode, continuation of Donald's story, continuation of the Moonlander story. Spoilers ahead if you weren't expecting that.
Yes.
So we're gonna do our 30-second recap. Jason, do you choose number 1 or number 2?
I will choose number 2.
It's 2.
Oh, great. All right.
Okay. All right. Let me get my clock ready.
All right.
Give you a second to get your breath and to prepare.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
I should have had the
Let's
timer
see.
ready. I don't know why the timer wasn't ready. All
Okay.
right. You say go, and I'll hit.
All right. Go. So, this episode starts with the actual recap of like what we saw last time with Donald at the moon, where the moon guy was like, "Hey, look, these guys are attacking us," and and the moon guy, he decides to give Penumbra the thing, because she's now captain now, and like Donald's like in jail, and while this is going on, Dewey and Webby, they're like, "Hey, something's going wrong. Something's wrong with Donald Duck because Huey's postcard got returned back to him." So they're going and doing their own mystery kind of thing while Donald is in moon jail, and Donald hit his head on the back of the wall, and he discovers that he can Shawshank Redemption this thing, but it's too late. Penumbra already like realized what he's doing, but Penumbra is actually working with Donald Duck because she was like, "You know what? Me and Della are actually friends." So she's actually helping him escape. He tries to escape. There's like some weird bug thing going around and messing up with the people moon people while they're sleeping, while Donald Duck is like blah blah blah, and like while his mouth is all shut, but no one can understand him anyway, with his mouth open anyway. Oh, while all this is going on, we find out that the big moon leader, he actually put that thing on the Penumbra because to control her, because he already suspected that she went against him. They also found out that he has this golden bullet slingshot thing that can like go into the earth, but hasn't been tested. But Donald is mad and he wants to protect his boys because while Dewey and Webby were doing their investigation, they meet with neighbor Jones, and they discover that Donald has anger management issues because he loves his nephew so much and he treats him like his children, and with that anger, he was able to break that thing that's off his mouth, and he went inside this bullet thing, and now Donald is flying across Earth. Ed.
You heard the part about it being a 30-second recap, right?
Yeah. How long did I do?
So, a minute and 42 seconds.
I knew I should have done with Alexa.
But you covered everything. That was an amazing summarization of what happened in 22 minutes, cut down into like 11 minutes. And that's it. That's all. That's all for the show.
That's all. You guys don't need anything else.
We've had a lot of conversations with people who are a little disappointed with Donald's story so far in DuckTales. And it's really got me to kind of reflecting on it and thinking about his story and the arc that they're doing. And I get why people have been a little standoffish about how Donald has been treated. They've not really liked the direction that the character has been going. But I feel like what they've been doing is been playing the long game with his character. I think they're really setting him up. Like, I know one of the tweets, it's not a tweet, one of Frank's comments on Tumblr that I've seen a lot of people trying to guess at has been that there's one person who will be able to understand Donald, and unless Frank is, and a lot of people have guessed that, but Della's even made comments about people not being able to understand him, and unless people have said this and Frank's already shot it down and I didn't see it, I kind of figure it's all build up to the introduction of Daisy, because Daisy's going to be the one person who understands him. In multiple ways, not just his speech. I mean, but in various ways, she's going to be that person who does understand him. Maybe she's got a temper herself.
Daisy does have a temper. Have you not seen the Mickey Mouse shorts?
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, that would definitely go along with her character in the past. So I just really feel like they've been building on Donald, and it's such a big cast, and his story. I think they've got something special planned for him. I'm in a wait and see mode on this.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Donald Duck fan. This is the first character I want to meet when I get in the park. When I walk into Epcot, I want to walk back to the Mexican Pavilion. I mean, that's just who I am. I love
Right.
the character. All of my Disney merch is pretty much Donald Duck. I don't have a problem with what they've been doing. I will say this, in this episode, when Penumbra breaks him out and they're walking through the halls, and those other Moonlanders, one of them voiced by Rob Paulson.
Great Raphael.
Yeah, and Donatello.
And Donatello. Don't forget Donatello.
But when they run into him, and she's like, I'm just sparring with the Earthling, because I almost called him a human. Did she call him a human? She called him an Earthling.
No, I think Earthling.
Yeah. But she's like, I've found that it's best, practicing to invade the Earth, that I spar with an Earthling. And they're like, oh, let me have a try. And they're like punching Donald, and the first one's funny. And then the second one, I'm like, oh. And on the third one, I was like, oh man, this is horrible. And I started to feel what everybody was talking about, how they keep beating up on Donald.
Yeah, Donald is literally like the punching bag in the TV series, and here they're showing literally he is the punching bag now.
Yeah, and it was I mean, just his face, and Tony Anselmo's, his voice actor, just the noises he made, it was kind of crushing. And Lexi, who's got a huge heart, she's like, Daddy, I don't know that I want to watch this one. I was like, it'll get better, surely. And then of course we get some fun with the little moon scorpion or whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever that monster is. Like, I think they just said it was a beast. I can't remember.
Yeah, they did. They said it was like some kind of beast is in the air vents, and Donald's like, wait a minute, I'm in the air vents. But I also, and I had said when we got the descriptions for this episode, I was very interested in where this B story was going to go, and I love that it tied in with the A story. I loved when Dewey comes running into Scrooge's office, and he's like, look, there was a fourth egg, and I've named him Fooey. And that's hilarious for anyone who doesn't know, because there were sometimes a fourth triplet in panels in comics. I don't know that were they ever in cartoons?
Not that I know of.
It was mainly panels of comics where accidentally a fourth one ended up. And the joke was that was Fooey. And he, of course, names the fourth egg Fooey, and then we learn that it's a mustard stain.
Yes.
And then, of course, Webby comes in going on about the McDuck family tree and everything. So there's a lot of callbacks to the comics there, and it was really fun. And it kind of was an indicator, because Frank Angones, co-producer of DuckTales, had said online that there was going to be a Carl Barks character introduced soon, and everybody's been guessing who it was. And I think I only saw one person online guess that it would be Mr. Jones. And Mr. Jones was Donald Duck's neighbor in the Carl Barks comics. And he was a rival for Donald in almost all of those stories. The one that stands out the most to me is a jack-o'-lantern issue or story where Mr. Jones is growing jack-o'-lanterns for a fair, a contest or something, and Donald's wanting to carve a pumpkin with him, and Mr. Jones is not allowing him, and it just becomes this big ego battle between the two, and it ends up really fun, of course. But that's one of the Mr. Jones stories that I first think of. But there were a ton of Barks, and I think Rosa. Like I said, there was some Rosa stories as well. But so the character gets introduced, and he's this mysterious character who's like blackmailing, or maybe he's kidnapped, or maybe Uncle Donald's on the run from him. But the kids realize that maybe Donald's missing. And it was a really fun B story.
Yes. Actually, I really like the B story a lot. I did not know who Neighbor Jones was until after I saw the episode, and after I was like, I was like, oh, let me look up some stuff about this episode because I know I'm going to be talking about it. And I was like, whoa, this person's actually a character?
Yeah, and they've done that with us before. Like, we've seen a pig in a few episodes, and we're kind of guessing that might be a callback to the Wise Old Hen, because Donald's first appearance, he was teamed up with a pig.
Right.
So we've wondered if that has been a callback to stuff like that. What was funny about, for me with Mr. Jones was, our morning routine, DuckTales kind of messes up our morning routine in a good way. So I get the girls up, put them on the couch, and I go and I'm fixing their breakfast, and our kitchen looks into our living room. They're watching the episode, and I'm putting their breakfast together, and I'm trying to watch. So there was a lot about the episode that I missed while I was getting them ready.
Gotcha.
And but I did catch the gist of what was happening, but I did not hear the name Mr. Jones, or at least it didn't stand out to me. And then the name of his, because he ends up being Donald's therapist, and the name of his practice is Friendly Neighbor, I think is what it is. And I didn't see that either. But Pirate and I were talking while I was at work. We were texting one another, and he was like, I love that Mr. Jones was in this. And I was like, Mr. Jones? And he goes, the therapist was Mr. Jones from the comics. And I was like, no way. So I watched it on my lunch break. Fully.
Didn't they call him like Neighbor Jones? Like wasn't his didn't they, like, every time they refer to him, wasn't his name like Neighbor Jones? In
the comic?
No, I meant like in this episode. Or did they call him Mr. Jones? And
they called him Mr. Jones, but the name of his practice was Friendly Neighbor.
Okay, that's probably like where I'm getting that name.
Yeah.
Like I know Neighbor Jones appeared to me like somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and he was called Neighbor Jones sometimes in the comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was just the guy next door who, and he was a dog character. Who was the foil for Donald in a lot of stories.
Gotcha. I was actually really happy to have a Donald focused episode because, ever since like this series started, like, we showed Donald, but then this, like, it was almost like, to me, like how the original series was, like, here's Donald, and then we're just going to kind of put him in the background for Scrooge.
Yeah.
And like, that's what happened here, was like, Donald's like, he's been more in the forefront than he has ever been in the original series, but like, I think this is the only episode I can think of, like, where he is like the focus. Like,
maybe the Three Cabs episode.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Three Cabs. Yeah, that's right. The Three Cabs. Yeah, that's another one. I already forgot about that one. That was this season too.
Yeah, forever ago.
So you mentioned you watched this morning. This morning, I totally forgot that there's no episodes of the show.
What?
It wasn't until you talked to me, I'm like, oh man, there's no episodes. And I'm gonna say this, for like, Disney Channel for me has always been like weird on airings, and that kind of stuff. For me, it made sense to do the weekdays, in May, because that's when a lot of kids' school's out, and like, to me that like just made sense. This one makes no sense to me, because it's September after Labor Day.
Right. I
don't know any school system in the United States where after Labor Day that there is no school.
Yeah. And I think it really points to the fact that most people stream these episodes, even the kids.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know a lot of kids who watch TV when things air. I think as a society, we've pretty much moved over to streaming.
And honestly, that really, it really could be. But the thing that puzzles me the most is the fact that the season finale is on a freaking Thursday.
Right.
Like, I cannot get over this. It's on a Thursday afternoon when most kids are in school.
Yeah. No, I agree. But it's strange. But, like, there's other shows that I followed before DuckTales and into DuckTales from Disney was Star Wars Rebels. Huge fan of Star Wars Rebels. And the Freemaker Adventures. And when the Freemaker Adventures got a second season, people were surprised that it got a second season. I mean, fans of the show loved it and were excited, right. But at the same time, it was a little bit of a surprise. And then they announced that they were going to air the entire season back to back, and they were doing like multiple episodes a day or something. Like it just was like boom, 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 boom. And then with Rebels, that show, its final season, like the last half of it aired in a week, in a similar format. And then, but most of but it aired at like, I don't remember, like 8:00 or something like that on.
It was a primetime slot, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then when Resistance come out, Resistance was the follow-up series by the studio, but a brand new story, new characters, and it was supposed to be geared or aimed more towards children, and they gave it a 10 p.m. time slot.
The Resistance is the one that like surprised, because they did the same thing with the Marvel Rising movie, which is like aimed for girls that are like your girls' age.
They love it.
And it premiered at like 10 p.m.
Yeah,
on Disney XD. Oh,
I don't get it.
I know I don't get it, and then also. And like usually when a network like does this whole like, oh, we're airing these things like boom boom boom, that means like, we have no plans for a future for this show. We're just airing it and it's over. Mm-hmm. Because every time I watch all the Marvel stuff on Disney XD because I really like them, and it's like all the time they've been doing that with with the Guardians and Avengers and everything. I'm thinking, okay, this is the final season. We're not going to get any more. And then we do have a final season. And then like this season with Spider-Man is like, we went a whole year of no season 2 episodes of Spider-Man. I think new episodes start next Saturday. But like the last episodes aired for season 2 was August of 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, Disney, what do you do? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love for these 9 episodes, especially, and we're going to talk about this in a moment, and frankly speaking, very quickly, but there's a possibility that we're not going to get season 3 immediately. So if we are going to have a break between, why do the 9 episodes all at once? It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. Me personally, I'm not a fan of it. I never was a binge fan either. Like I like to watch things like weekly. Especially like if you have like 9 episodes and like you're not gonna have a new episode. No, don't do what freaking Rise of Ninja Turtles do and like split up 26 episodes into 52 weeks. But.
Right. But it's nice to know that, I mean, obviously we enjoy talking about it and diving into it and looking at it, but it's hard to do that when you're going to get 9 episodes at one time and then get nothing for months.
Exactly.
But with this episode, we were promised that this season we'd find out what makes Donald angry. And I thought of all the episodes that have had an emotional pull, I think this episode had the largest for me. Being a Donald fan, being a father, and hearing that when Mr. Jones tells Webby and Dewey that Donald's anger comes from a fear that the world's out to get him, who has all the bad luck. The world's out to get him, and that he would never be understood, literally. But man, I think his motivation that they've given him was really great. And then to build on that, because they're like, well, what did you even do then if you're his therapist? I mean, obviously Mr. Jones isn't a great therapist when you look at where he lives.
Right.
And
he has anger problems himself, if you noticed.
Right. Well, and that was a big part of his character in the comics. So, he does have a lot of anger issues. He was not very good at expressing himself to the triplets when he locked them in a closet.
Yeah.
But, he tells them we found a way to channel that into his parenting to where he's super protective and will go off if anything threatens the kids. And at the same time, you're seeing a pretty epic battle between him and Lunaris. And, you think, oh man, he might actually be able to take him. Oh no, he doesn't have a chance. And then when he goes berserk and you're hearing about his motivation and everything, it's a pretty chilling moment for the show.
Yeah, yeah. Like, so as a new parent, like, I really loved his like motivation, for like his actually, like, like why he gets angry, and like in that, and also as a classic Disney fan, I loved when we saw his face get red and he does that, like, oh, jump up, I'm going to fight you motion. I like. I'm sure it's been shown in DuckTales before, but over here just really highlighted that for me. That moment of him, like, just kind of like revving up, ready to punch, like how he usually does, like in the cartoons and everything. I really like the way they did that. Something I do kind of wonder, because, like, like they mentioned that, he can't be understood and everything. I am like one of those, like, when DuckTales started, when this one first started, it took me a while to understand Donald. I felt like, because he's so much harder to understand than like Clubhouse, the new Mickey Mouse shorts, Kingdom Hearts. Like, I've seen all that and I was able to understand Donald fine. But like the first episode especially, I couldn't understand him. I'm wondering if that was like a conscious or subconscious thing to make him like maybe a little harder to understand just for this moment.
It was very conscious, and I think a lot of people have missed that. I don't know that the show did a good job of making that apparent. I've seen that discussion a lot, and then also not long ago, Tony Anselmo was on a panel at a convention, and he said he wasn't very happy with the fact that Donald is, he feels like it's a poor representation of how he does the voice, because he says they actually sped him up in the post. So I do feel like they wanted Donald's voice to be harder to understand for this show in order to create the storyline.
Right. And I really do think that too. And like, for me, like, I thought like the episode, like the first season finale, like when War Machine took over his voice, like, I thought like that was like the butt end of the joke. But now I feel like maybe this was this whole moment thing was like maybe like their subconscious. They just didn't know when to put it.
Yeah, and it's not a joke at this moment, because it is it's what drives him.
Exactly. Because like now it's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not a joke anymore. It's like, this is like his character, and now we have an understanding why. And like, I mean, if this was like intentional from the beginning, kudos to you guys for doing this.
Yeah, I wish they had made it a little more apparent, because like we had conversations about, and I was always like, I don't have trouble, and I don't have as much trouble as what I'm hearing people say. But then when I go back, and because it'd been a long time since I'd watched Clubhouse, and my girls weren't watching Roadster Racers at the time, when I'd go back and watch those shows, and then I started getting into the Mickey Mouse shorts, I was like, oh yeah, this is a lot different. Which the Mickey Mouse shorts, is that Tony Anselmo or is that someone else?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Tony. The only one that's not the Disney voice is Mickey, because it's voiced by the guy from Community. And he also did the Moral TV series. He has the best last name ever, like Dimolopolitis, and I'm like totally butchered it, but like his first name's Chris.
Diamantopoulos.
There we go.
Yeah, he also voices Storkules and Darkwing Duck.
Oh, that's right. He does do Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. The new Drake Mallard.
Yeah, the new Darkwing Mallard. Yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, overall, I enjoyed this episode. I think it was one of the harder hitting episodes. Before we started recording, I saw that Sam King was sharing her some of her boards and some thoughts on the episode. I haven't got to read those yet, so I'm looking forward to going through those once we get off the call. So I'm wrapping this up. And we both got to work in the morning. So
yeah, exactly. I will say for me, like, I thought like the most emotional one for me was whatever happened to Della Duck, that episode / special. I thought that was like the most emotional one. This one doesn't hit as hard as that one, but for me personally,
Yeah.
I think it hits a little harder only because I am a father.
Yeah.
And that like I wasn't expecting this episode to get into the same emotional level as that one. Now, like, you know, but so I will say like that was actually really cool. I'm really glad with the emotional hits that they hit that really good in this one.
Agreed. So wrapping up real quickly, frankly speaking, because, and we can't get through this quickly, but we're going to bring it up. We'll start conversations and people can talk with us about it on Twitter afterwards or send us emails. Frank was asked on Tumblr, when are we going to see season 3? And Frank said, now keep in mind, this was last week. No idea. We're just getting first episode animation back now. So that has started the conversation and a few other things that we might have come across that maybe new episodes won't start in October. Not sure yet, but it honestly would be a stretch to say if they're just now getting animation back from the first episode, I don't think that episode's going to air next month.
Yeah. Like if they get animation back, because first, if they're getting animation back, I mean, I hope to God if they'll find some mistakes, or like, you know, because there's no way you get animation back and you're just like, oh, you know what, it's perfect, let's put this on air, because that never happens. I can tell you that right now. And so I mean, it's going to be at least a few week process of like, you know, okay, this is our final one.
Yeah, and do you think they record the voice actors before? I guess they would do that with the boards, right? And then the animation is synced to the voice actors?
I guarantee. Okay, so animation-wise, you first record voice actors. The first thing that happens is the voices, and the animators, they do it. They animate based off the voice acting. There's a lot of animation done now where they actually will record the actors' faces now, so the animators know a better expression and that kind of stuff. You also got to understand, most of these animators don't speak English, so they're like, you know, they have to like do everything from the tone and like the inflection that the voice actor does. So more than likely, voice recording for the entire third season has already been done, because that's always like the first thing to do. Because first it goes voice acting, then it goes animation.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, we're partly through the process, but we're still a long ways away, I would think.
Yeah, we're still a long ways away. So, and then there's also things called like ADR where like after they do something and they're like, you know, oh, we want to change this, they change it. Or like if the animator does something like that, or they do something different and they're like, oh, we like the animation style better, like they'll change the voice acting to better match the animation.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, we know we're getting a Santa Claus story, so I'm still hopeful that we get a episode from season 3 in 2019. But I mean, that's how season 3 was announced, that it would air in 2019. But I mean, it could get pushed back. We don't know yet. We're kind of planning on it being a little while. I don't expect it in October.
So here is, I'm going to say my theory.
Okay.
Because of the weird erratic airing schedule. I don't think we're going to get season 3 in 2019, but we will get like the Christmas episode in 2019, and they're just not going to call it like season premiere or anything like that. They'll call it like, you know, oh, come for this DuckTales special or something like that. And we might not even get a theme song to it. It might, like, they might try to like pull out, like, almost kind of like what they did with Della Duck, where it's like just by itself.
Right.
And then, like, you know, it's going to be, I forget what Disney calls December, but like they call like, and then maybe the new episodes will actually come in January 2019 for January for Disney Channel.
Right. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, but I also have this theory. You know, ABC Family has like their 25 Days of Christmas. ABC always shows like animated, like, you know, they also like specials for Christmas. Maybe we could see DuckTales the DuckTales like 2019 Christmas special, part of like both an ABC Family and an ABC.
Oh,
Like if they treat it like that. And that would actually be really cool. Like, no one quote me on this because I'm just blowing things like out of my head. So don't don't be like, oh man, Jason's so hella scary from talking on DuckTalks and guaranteed that DuckTales is going to be an ABC. But I'm just saying there could be a chance that they treat it like as a it's like kind of like Frozen Ever After or the Toy Story, the Terror Beyond, or whatever their Christmas special was called.
Yeah, but who knows? It may be an hour long.
I don't think it'll be an hour long. I don't think it'll be an hour long. I think it'll be 30 minutes because both those specials. If Frozen can't get an hour special, there's no way DuckTales is going to get an hour special for Christmas.
You might be onto something there.
I mean, I bring hope and then I crush it.
Yeah. Well, we will stay on top of it, and we'll be looking for any little bit of information that we come across that we can share. And so check us out at DuckTalks.com. I think that's going to be the end of the conversation here. Jason, before we go, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you?
They can find me on the streets, just or right outside your house. No, I'm not that creepy. So my wife and I, we do a YouTube channel called Moving Lackposh Studio. We we specialize on animation and focus a lot on Ninja Turtles because that's what I focus a lot on. So subscribe to us on YouTube, or you can follow us on Twitter as well, or you can follow me personally at DMuzz on Twitter, and you get to see my ramblings as I ramble on about other things.
Well, it's a lot of good content. Like I said, I love turtles and love following what you're doing there. You have a lot of fun on your channel. So if we've got some turtle fans, we want to point them your way.
Most definitely.
And you can follow us on Twitter. We're also on Instagram and Tumblr, although we're most active on Twitter. And I think that's going to do it for us this week. And next time we have Jason on, we'll talk about Spider-Man being pulled from the MCU. But until next time,
talk about that.
Until next time.
All right, till next time, guys. See ya.
DuckTalks is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds or audio clips played on this podcast are the property of their copyright holders.